You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marcy Persky. I could get into details about what's in this installment of the podcast, but what you really need to know is that some parts of it are creepy and other parts are kind of disgusting.
I got a haircut.
I get to see it before you stick headphones on it. Adorable.
Thank you. I needed to change things up.
Well, you've had a lot going on. If you've ever had one of those days where you start out and everything's great and then one little bitty thing happens and you're just plunged into a whole other headspace, it's weird. It's very weird.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's just weird. Do you remember the sound effect from, I guess it was Bozo's Circus, when they had that little throw the ball in the bucket game? And,
Yes.
and when you missed, like every time you got it right, they'd go, ta-da! And then bucket number 2, and a pair of pantyhose for your mom was always one of the prizes. Ta-da! And when you got to the one where the little kid would throw the ping pong ball and it would miss the bucket, it would go, rah, 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 rah. That's kind of what happened to me today. I was going along, but social media really screwed up the day. Sometimes you just shouldn't look. Sometimes it's great. Like, let's look at pictures of everybody else having a good time. And then there's that moment where you look at your social media and you go, oh my God, this is everybody else having a good time without me. I've had a bunch of that lately. I'm starting to feel like the kid nobody chooses for kickball, which was my youth.
I don't know. I just was looking at social media before I sat down. All these people look stupid. Why do they put this stuff up there?
Oh, well,
that was my thought. It wasn't, why am I not included? It's like, why are you even telling me or anyone this?
My general rule of thumb is if you're wearing a hospital gown, you probably shouldn't be posting a picture of yourself.
I agree 100%.
I guess the exception would be if you've just had a baby and someone wants to take a picture of the baby snuggling with you in the hospital gown. But other than that,
I'm just realizing like how needy some of my friends and acquaintances are. I don't need to know your every thought. I want to look at pictures of your dogs and your goats and your cats. Social media should not be free psychiatric.
But look at all the people who get a lot of nourishment and help from their social media.
Who?
Well, there are all these people who say, I was in the depths, or I was going to go out and drink or use drugs. But my friends on social media talked me out of it. And I don't mean to make light of any of those things, but I think if things were that serious, I can't imagine your social media talking you out of whatever it is.
I tend to unfriend people who overshare. If I want to get serious and be all angsty and verklempt, I'll read the news.
That makes sense. And if you don't like social media, there's your television set. I've been enjoying a TV show that's old. I don't like to watch streaming shows unless they're all done.
Yeah, I do that too.
Because if I get ahead, then I have to wait, and I hate to wait. You do this too, where you wait until all 3 seasons of whatever it is are done and everybody is sick of talking about it and they don't care anymore, and then you sit down and watch all 3 seasons of whatever it is?
Yes, that's definitely our MO around here.
It makes you kind of a social, like, what do you mean you haven't seen? But on the other hand, your personal frustration level is so much less. It's like going shopping when you know that there's nobody else in the store. It's the same idea.
Yeah. Like we watched Game of Thrones, I think, like years after it ended. I mean, it was long gone, and we didn't even stream it. I bought it for Frankie for his birthday because I found it on sale somewhere.
I'm still so thrifty that I was doing things like checking DVDs of The Wire out of the public library. The bad part of this was half the time you'd get your popcorn out, you'd get everybody out of the TV room so that nobody would be, kids were littler, so nobody would be bothering you about what was in their lunchbox or whether they needed help with their homework. And you'd sit down and you'd open up the box, and there would be a big scratch on the back of the DVD, or somebody would have left a big wad of like chewed up cat food on the DVD. And that's when you thought, okay, my cheapness has just caught up with me.
I like to watch things over and over and over again if I like them. Just like I like to read the end of books and then I go back to the beginning. And so if I already know how a movie is going to end, like if I know this is going to be a sad movie and I'm in a sad mood, I will watch that movie. But that's the one thing that I won't update. I like my DVD player.
I like old technology. This computer that we create the podcast on, it's what, 12 years old now maybe? I have a mental thing going that I would like this computer to last as long as I do, even though I'm starting to get nervous about that because last night we sat down to redo our will and trust for the kids because they're getting older. So I have a much more sobering look at how long that means I want this computer to keep working.
We haven't done that. We probably should, seeing that I'm on the cusp of no return,
What? What do you mean you're on the
the
cusp of
cusp of
no?
super elderliness.
Um, I don't think you're on the cusp of no return, but I will definitely say this: leaving your family to sort this out is a bad idea.
I kind of like the idea of my four kids in a boxing ring and punching each other out over who's going to assume my debt because we really don't have much to leave.
I don't think that the debt follows you. I looked after my girlfriend when she was coming around the end, and it's amazing how many debt collection places will try and convince you that your girlfriend's makeup that she charged on her Macy's card is somehow your problem. I
Oh,
don't.
they're ruthless.
The rehab place where we had her
Hmm.
sent me all this because I was her power of attorney. They sent me all this paperwork, which I just conveniently didn't sign. When she died, they called and they said, "Well, they said you're responsible for her debt here." And I said, "Check your paperwork. I am no such
Yeah,
thing."
don't sign anything, kids.
Yeah,
If
don't.
you're listening,
Yeah,
don't sign
don't sign
anything.
it. But back to the will that we went over with the lawyer. There are about a zillion forms they want you to sign, including that nobody's responsible if they screw up all the forms that you're signing. I understand why people just go and run screaming and don't do any of it.
I just need a form that forbids my youngest child from donating my body to Body World because that's what she reminds me of at least once a month that I'm going to Body World.
At the very least, Frankie should get out there with that little front end loader and dig a hole
What he did.
for you.
He's dug holes for all of us.
Did he?
He's been having fun with that front end loader.
Got a little hole happy, is he?
He's very hole happy.
If you didn't hear the last podcast, there was a need of a grave for several pets, and so Frankie got busy with a small, what is that thing?
Mini excavator.
Mini excavator, and he apparently has been excavating ever since.
Yes, he has.
Yes. I'm thinking now, and I would like to know, you know how when you go out in the country and you see these family plots on their farms?
Yeah.
Way out in the country, people would have a family farm, and then sometimes they had a family graveyard right there on their property. And if you've seen a number of horror movies, you've seen them in those too. But in your
Well,
state, where you have a right to do pretty much everything you want, use kittens for target practice, whatever in your state, anything but bother someone else's cattle apparently is allowed in your state. Um,
yes.
can you have a family plot on your acreage? Is that allowed?
Well, our former president has his dead wife buried on his golf course.
That's true. Hadn't thought about that. Well,
And also, too,
yes.
what anybody doesn't know doesn't hurt them, does it?
Well, it's
I
not so
mean,
much
who comes out here?
that's the way that it would come up. This is me. I'm like the big catastrophist, right? Okay, now
Yeah, no,
now
you
I'm going to get my catastrophism's magical talent together. Okay, so let's just say that you are buried on your own property and that it's somehow marked or indicated that you are buried there. What if none of your kids wants to live at 7,000 feet where you have to truck in your water and you can't dig a hole in the ground and flowers don't survive? And let's just say, for some strange reason, they don't want to live up there and they sell the property. If your buried in an illegal cemetery, could the prospective buyers make the sellers, your inheritors, see how I'm learning all the terminology, your inheritors, your heirs, your beneficiaries, could they make them dig you up and like throw you in Lake Powell or something? Could they do that?
They've been finding all kinds of bodies in Lake Mead, which is near Las Vegas.
All right, Lake Mead
Which
then. Does it
doesn't
make you feel
surprise
better?
me.
What could they request?
Um,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm gonna throw some reality on your whimsy.
For Shaw reality. Yeah.
I've already left instructions
Yes.
to my husband, who will definitely outlive me. That when I die, I want him to take me and the new car up to the top of the mountain and put my foot on the gas
For the
and just
insurance
let
money.
it go.
Yeah.
So that way he gets the car insurance, as which is probably worth more than my life insurance at this point.
Well, let's just
So you
say
get
let's
double
just
indemnity.
yeah, but let's just say it doesn't happen like that. Let's just say that something happens and you keel over in the middle of town where everybody sees you and they call an ambulance and the death certificate's right there, and so he can't do that. So he takes you home and gets that gravedigger thing back again and digs a big hole, sticks you in there. Molly makes you a arts and crafts tombstone. There you are. And then years later, everybody wants to sell the property. Are you allowed to be a dead person on your own soon to be former property? Are you allowed?
The little slice of libertarianism in me says that I am. Yes.
I don't know. It's
But now I'll have to tell them that if the whole mountain thing doesn't work, first cook me in the fireplace,
you'll be
then
you'll be
bury me
nothing
in the
left of you.
pet cemetery.
No, all they need to do is pull up all the stones because that family graveyard is way out of the pet cemetery.
It'd just be ashes to ashes.
Well, that
Well, the pets, they're
yeah, but all they have to really do is just take out all the stones and pretend it's nothing to see here. Could you imagine though?
nothing.
Let's just imagine that you buy your lovely property in the country and not wanting you to feel weird, you the buyer, about your purchase, the family that's selling just pulls out all the gravestones and leaves you with the family plot unmarked. And then let's just say you decide you want to put in an in-ground swimming pool. Then you're really screwed. You get your big excavator and things start popping up and you don't know if
There
they're
are
new.
no swimming
They're
pools up here
old.
in the high desert.
There might be. Just saying. Just pool
Just saying.
Just saying. Or something. They want to dig up something.
We're-
I don't know. Giant barbecue pit for an entire football stadium. I don't know.
5 cents a gallon.
I'm just saying. They want to dig a big hole, and then your bones and your dog's bones and your cat's bones and the urns for all that stuff starts popping out, but they don't know if you're a valuable antiquity or just somebody's grandma that got thrown out there last August. They don't know. So
So see now I'm thinking, and if Molly makes me a tombstone instead of my name, it's gonna say the mummy, and then from digging me up because I just watched that movie last weekend, and it's very scary.
So you wish
So
to
there.
be you wish to be a valuable antiquity.
Yeah, mummicize me or whatever they do.
Mummify you.
I like mummicize.
Now you won't like it when I tell you what I learned about mummies at the Field Museum.
No,
of
I
Natural
won't. So let's
History.
not discuss it.
I'm going to tell you one thing that will just. Are you ready? I'm going to
Okay.
tell you. This is going to make you hurl.
Yeah.
Ready?
Hit me.
All right. In ancient Egypt, part of the method of preserving your body was to take out all your organs and put them in separate jars. But your brain, often they sucked it out through your nose.
But you're dead.
Well, how would you like to know that after you die, your brain is going to be sucked out through your nose?
You know what? Here's a very odd coincidence. But last night, as we were sitting out on our deck,
Yeah.
admiring the quiet autumn night, Frankie told me a story about a guy that he knows whose nose was always running, always. And so when he finally went to the doctor and said, my nose is always running. They told him it was brain fluid.
I don't believe that.
So Frankie could not make that up.
Sure he could. You are underestimating your husband. Thanks for listening to the Turi Writers She Said What podcast. Since you've made it to the end, you might want to know that my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air, is not only available in print, but now also in complete audiobook form, narrated by me and available on Audible.